Jared,
John.
great to see you.
Oh, it's great to see you.
I am totally impressed with your setup today.
Let's change it up.
Yeah, it's nice working with videographers who invest in their equipment and are always looking to make improvements. And just share with us a little bit about what you've done since we shot our last video with your equipment.
Sure. Well, we started off with one camera setup, and then it was just me. And I saw a podcast where I figured a two-camera setup would look nice, and that's what a lot of podcasters are using, a two or three camera setup. Mm-hmm. Maybe we'll get there someday. But I saw this podcast where they did a split screen, and I was like, that's it. That's how we do a two-camera setup. So I brought the two cameras, and cool. We have Lucas here. Oh, did I
our videographer, another videographer.
Yeah, which is great because if I could definitely do this myself, but now Lucas gets some experience and he gets some money because I'm paying him, and it gives us an opportunity to change up and evolve our podcast.
Yeah, it's interesting because podcasts can be as simple as one camera, set it on a tripod, click record, and then do your editing on the backside. And now you've got a two-camera setup. You've got different microphones.
Oh yeah, I purchased these mics. I purchased a mic like this for at home, and it came with a stand. And I loved it so much that I just started creating a ton of content. Like I have batched record content all the way through the end of September, which is fantastic. I'm just so jacked up.
Audio matters.
It does matter. And I think that's one of the biggest struggles I had was I don't like how I sound. I'm not liking what I look like. So I've just upgraded, a cord, a different camera, and a new microphone that was under $100. And then I realized they had these stands.
Nice.
I was like, this would be fun.
Perfect tabletop.
This would be fun for...
Yeah. So as you go forward and you work with other people who want to have podcasts videoed, videotaped. They don't videotape them, do they? How do they do that? Is it video recording?
I think if you're going to do a podcast...
They used to have tape.
Well, it's
all digital.
It's all digital now. But most people with podcasts are just doing audio. If you're going to have a podcast...
Why not put a camera on it?
Do video as well.
Right.
And then you can extract the audio from that, and you're killing two birds.
So we've been working on our podcast for about 6 months.
Has it been that long?
It seems like it's been a while.
It seems like
we probably recorded 10 or 15 clips, and there's more to come. But the important thing to note is that you're always trying to get better.
Exactly, yeah.
That's what I wanted to say.
Yeah, it's like...
It shows.
Change and evolving and improving and just trying different things. Like, I don't know how this is going to look. And it might not look that great. But then
it's okay.
We're going to
I think it's going to be fine. Do you want to talk about change?
Sure.
Are we going to jump right in?
Yeah, let's jump right into change.
I know we've got about 3 or 4 different topics we want to cover today. And I'm just paging through my book here. Page 34, Change.
And what book is that?
Be a stand-up leader.
Oh, look at that.
ABCs of doing things right.
Fantastic.
Change is the first subject we're going to cover today.
Yeah.
And so in preparing for this video session today, I wrote a couple notes down.
Well, why don't we start off with some of your notes, and then we'll...
My first observation this morning, Monday morning, I went into one of my clients that I work for every Monday, and I started to remember few people are good at adapting to change. Change is very difficult for a lot of people because they get into what you've probably heard as a cliche, a comfort zone.
Yeah.
And they don't want to have new whatever is coming down the pipe. So when you're starting out in your career as a young professional, when change occurs quickly, which it does, it can become unsettling because people are routine oriented. You know, the movie Groundhog Day, every day, same thing over and over and over and over again. Well, a lot of people like that because they don't want to have to try to learn something new. Right. They don't want to learn new software, learn a new process, learn a new product, learn a new sales approach, learn a new technology. But instead of having change create fear and uncertainty, what I like to promote is making friends with change.
I like that because, and I have it here in my notes, being in your comfort zone doesn't allow you to change. And growth is where that happens outside your comfort zone.
Absolutely.
And that's something that I'm experiencing right now is like leaning into being uncomfortable
Right.
and making change my friend, which is incredibly uncomfortable in itself.
Steve Jobs is a great example of somebody who was driven for change.
Yeah.
He wanted to create a better product in the world of Apple computers and iPhones and iPads. And it's innovation.
Right.
Without that drive, looking for change. He went looking for change. It wasn't like change arrived at his doorstep and he had to deal with it. He created it. Yeah. And everybody else around him was having a meltdown. They're like, you can't do that. It's not possible. Your ideas are outside the box. Too far, we can't accomplish that. Not to be engineered. But what did he do? He persisted.
Yeah.
And he kept going forward.
I think the cool thing about that is, it starts with a question, and that's another topic that
Right.
we'll talk about is like,
Right.
how can we make this different? How can we make it better?
Open-ended
And
question.
if you look at everything around, even everything in this room, these microphones, the cameras, the lights,
Right.
your guitar, someone picked it up or saw it or had an idea, and how can we make this better? How can we change it? How can we improve it? I think there's a lot of opportunity. But like for young leaders and young entrepreneurs,
Right.
like if the change is not easy by any means, but if you're hungry enough and you have this gut feeling, this internal gut feeling that there's something greater out there for me,
Right.
you have to get outside your comfort zone. You have to change up
Stretch.
your habits. What got you here is not going to get you there.
We've talked about that before. We're going to talk about it many times.
Yeah.
You have to leave your old way of thinking behind.
Exactly.
Ontological thinking. Change doesn't have to be scary. It's all in how you look at it. And I was using a simple analogy is the cup half full or half empty?
Yeah.
Is the change half full or half empty?
Yeah.
Let's look at change and say, it may not be in my best interest today, but I'm going to embrace it and I want to move forward with it because I think I'm going to learn, create some innovation. Change is oftentimes what's needed.
Yeah.
Because staying static and staying the same, I call it the sameness barrier.
Mm-hmm.
If you fall into that, where you're just like everybody else,
Right.
good luck trying to separate yourself from the rest of the world.
I think that's a great point that you bring up. Like we are, what makes us unique is us. Like my personality and what I think about and my projects that I do are completely different than other people's projects, and that's what makes me unique and different. And then the opportunity to grow and change is so prevalent nowadays because there's so much information out there, whether it's a book or a podcast, or you go to YouTube and share, you share answers to questions that people might be asking. You share research. There's just a huge opportunity to figure out what's down the path in your path, or try to navigate that outside of what you're currently experiencing.
Right.
So if you search up, how do I get more disciplined, or how do I manage my time better? Well, enter that into Google or YouTube, and you're going to get a slew,
New ideas.
a slew of new ideas and concepts that people have applied to their path and what's worked for them.
Right.
And now you have an opportunity to grow outside your comfort zone and try to apply it to your path.
Right. I think that it's easier for people to learn how to embrace change and welcome it and look at change as a positive, a new beginning, a fresh direction. And then in my book, I'll go back to my advice to the readers is involve those that will be affected by change early in the process.
Yes.
As a leader,
yes,
involve the people in the decision making when change is being developed
at all levels.
so they can participate.
Yeah, I think.
So they can say, I had a role in that.
Yeah.
I had a part in that.
Yeah.
I had a play in that. I was part of the process of this new great change. So that they can have some equity in the process. Give them a little bit of ownership in the idea.
Yeah.
Give them a little bit of ownership in the direction. They're less likely to resist and move into what I'll call non-compliance. A lot of times as a manager, when you roll out changes, 3 or 4 people out of 20 will say, oh man, let's go. The middle part will say, not sure what I want to do. And then the bottom 30%, the 3 or 4 people who are anti-change, will be non-compliant. They'll resist the change, and it causes a lot of problems because they stir the pot for everybody else, and it's not a clean change. It's not a clean break. The leader didn't involve them in the process, left them out of the equation, and so therefore, it ain't my idea.
How do you feel about leaders being a little bit vulnerable and asking employees, what can we do to improve?
Absolutely.
How can we make your job?
That should be a regular part of business on an everyday approach.
Yeah.
Yeah. But a lot of people don't want to get feedback from their employees.
Why do you think that is?
Because they're dictators.
Okay. Yeah.
They've decided, they call it democratic dictatorship, is the actual phrase.
Yeah.
They've decided whatever they think, whatever they do, it's the end all.
Yep.
I don't care what everybody else thinks.
Right.
I don't care what my employees think. I don't care what my customers think. You ever seen a business make a change without thinking it through?
Yes.
And their customers find out about it and they're like, what?
Yeah.
What do you mean I don't get to be in the President's Club for American Airlines anymore?
Yeah.
What do you mean I don't get free travel miles when I go purchase them? What do you mean when you took away something that you'd given me before? Because you're saving money, cutting costs. At what expense?
Right. I think like that made me think of like a rebrand, and that is change on a huge scale.
Right.
You've built up this reputation with this brand, and if you don't, I think if you're not introducing the new brand along with the old brand to your customer base, especially your current customers,
Right.
you can't just expect them to be like, oh yeah, it's this company that I've been working for. You know, I think the best you can do is to involve everyone and kind of like present like this is our company still.
And explain the reason why.
Yeah, yeah.
It's so simple.
Yeah.
You know, companies that are purpose driven, you know, what's our purpose? What's the purpose of this change?
Right.
A lot easier to navigate change when everybody gets to participate.
Like communication is key, and
Right.
and that's part of being a stand-up leader is communicating
Yep.
to the people below you. It
nailed it.
starts at the top.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think we've covered change pretty well, and I'll just say this, and then I'd like to hear your closing comments. Don't be afraid of change.
Agree.
Welcome it.
Yeah.
Look for it. Even create it. If you got a new idea where you can go to whoever your team leader is and say, I think I've got an idea here where if we make a couple of small changes to this process, I think our customers are going to be happy and we're going to have fewer problems. Would you be open to that?
Yeah.
do
Yeah.
you
No.
think?
Yeah. No. I agree. I think leaders need to be accepting of and open to those ideas
Right.
instead of just being closed-minded and talking amongst themselves,
Right.
discussing it. Open it up. If you're going to involve your employees, if you want to build a culture, an open door culture, a lot of people say, "Oh, we have an open door policy." Well, just because your door is open doesn't mean you have an open door policy. You want to be able to help cultivate that relationship between your employee and your brand.
Right.
And that's how you continue to grow. That's how you continue to expand. When your employees are happy and feel like they're a part of the growth of the company,
Right.
they're more susceptible to stay there long term.
Yeah.
There's an opportunity, in my opinion, to have more people bring their friends in, because who likes to work with their friends? People.
Right.
So I mean, that what a great way to help bring in other people. That's cost saving opportunities. So you don't have to recruit and all that stuff. So
Yeah.
there's a ton of opportunity to just make the world a better place, make your company a better place when you accept change instead of distract. Not distract. What word am I looking for?
Refuse.
Refuse is a great word, John.
I mean, it's a little strong, but
It's a great word.
that's the way it is.
Yeah.
You're either going to come along, get on the boat, and come with us,
Yeah.
or you can refuse and stay back.
Yeah. And that refusal to change will create a lot of friction.
Right.
And I think that, again, as you said, there's going to be the people that are going to stew and rile up all the other people,
Right.
but it starts at the top.
Right.
If the leaders themselves cannot change, then
Right.
that's also going to flow.
So we're thinking about some changes, and we want to get your feedback.
Yeah.
That's the way to do it.
Yeah. And then, go through and make changes based off the feedback. Don't just be like, this is crap.
You can't just be an earpiece.
Right.
If you're going to ask for feedback, and people are going to give you feedback, you've got to do something with it or explain why you're not going to incorporate somebody's ideas.
Right.
That's fairness.
Yeah.
So that kind of covers change.
Yeah, I think we covered it, and
On to the next video.
on to the next one. Let's do a wrap up. So that was our conversation on change. If you're interested in any marketing strategies, contact John at the Business Source. If you're looking for video content strategies, feel free to reach out to me at Whitman Media. We'd be happy to help you out, have a conversation, and take a look at what you're struggling with. Take a look at what you might need help with, and just be a source to help you connect the dots and move further down the road just a little bit. And it might involve some change, but we're going to be there to help you out.
Thanks for being with us today.